The day starts with several headlines on your desk and a brief description about each. With inspiration from Papers, Please, you stamp the headlines to show if it's approved or not. It will instantly run in the paper, so there's no changing your mind. They have consequences to not only your job, but the country. Now, this is where you figured out how you want to play it. It's more about role-playing and choosing who you want to side with. No, not in the actual headlines, but if you want to run the headlines for your company, yourself, or something else. For the most part, they're really straightforward where they stand. There are two major issues in the game: immigration and modified humans. Taking a hard line will improve your numbers with clickbait headlines, which also might help with getting that promotion you really need. The other parts of the game are only there to help build the story. This way you can see what impact your desk job is actually having on the world. Your walk home is where you'll see the effect the news has on the world. You'll hear citizens talk amongst themselves about the headlines and their feelings. It can also have a direct effect on you as well. For example, there could be a protest in front of Joe's Slap House that will not allow you to pass to pick up dinner. That's a real bummer, but it's kinda your fault. Once home, you'll have a discussion with your spouse and daughter about the news you ran and how it's affecting their lives. This is supposed to make it personal, since some of the headlines you run are directly changing their lives. They will have their own agenda, like going to college, and based on what's happening in the world, maybe you can't afford it. This part of the game is the least dynamic, and it's pretty much the same conversations each playthrough. Obviously, this game is a commentary on the writing and motivation behind the way the news is written. We all know clickbait exists, but the question is, how much does it affect the world around us? Shaping the narrative is something the news does. It just happens, and they do it to at least some extent. Choosing to run one headline that makes a person look good or bad, Headliner does a pretty good job pointing this out. It's also good about staying out of what the news is and makes the game more about what is expected of you at your job. It's short, but I ended up playing through twice, actually like 3 times, because I was curious what would happen if I selected different stories. While I can tell you it's somewhat limited, there are different endings. Even though I played through twice, I've only played about an hour total, so it's pretty quick experience. Because of that, the stories you publish have a bigger impact than they would in the real world. Time is compressed for your benefit. This isn't the most realistic, but the intent is to exaggerate and make a point. I wish there was more though. More stories and more challenges selecting the stories. Sometimes you're only allowed to select a certain amount of stories, but it's not really a challenge to select which ones. There are no difficult choices. I wish it took more from Papers, Please, where outsiders were trying to change your mind or taking bribes to promote one narrative over another. Headliner is more like role-playing, which isn't bad, it just lacks any mystery or unexpectedness that could happen from some sort of mysterious characters and stuff like that. Overall, Headliner is really thoughtful, somewhat compelling, and I like it. The game overcame my initial expectations, but choosing the stories was actually doing something, and I wanted to see how far I could take it. It was fun to play a couple different ways. I zipped through much faster the second time, but there are not enough endings for further replays. If you're into more story-driven casual games, then maybe this is something you should consider. However, I'm optimistic most of my complaints are going to be handled in their next game coming out October 23rd, which is only a couple days away, which is why I decided to check out this game to see if the base idea was solid, and I definitely think so. If the new game is an improved version on this, then that is pretty exciting. I even see more randomizations and a shady character in the trailer for the new game. Hey, thanks for watching. Click subscribe to have indie game reviews sent straight into your YouTube subscription feed.